Soft orchestral music builds in the background. A new chapter is opening at Downton Abbey. But this time, it isn't just about the Crawleys we know. Fresh faces are walking through those famous doors, and they're carrying with them the power to reshape everything. These new cast members are not side characters. They're storm clouds. They're sparks. They're the pieces that will rewrite the game at Highclere Castle. The question is, will Downton Abbey has always been more than just a family drama? It's a story about change. From the very first episode, we've watched the Crawleys and their loyal staff struggle, adapt, and sometimes fight against the new world pressing at their gates. Every new character who arrived brought with them not just a new face, but a new problem, a new question, a new possibility. Think back to the early days. When Matthew Crawley entered the story, he wasn't just a distant cousin. He was a threat to the old way of inheritance, a reminder that the family's traditions could not last forever. His presence challenged Lord Grantham, gave Lady Mary her great love story, and forced the household to reconsider what loyalty really meant. Later, when Tom Branson arrived as the chauffeur with radical political ideas, his romance with Lady Sybil shook Downton's very foundations. He wasn't just a new character. He was proof that the walls of class could be broken, and that change wasn't coming. It was already here. Even in the first two films, we saw this same pattern. The royal visit in the first movie brought excitement and scandal, while the journey to France in the second gave us hidden secrets and family revelations. Each time it was new people, new stories, and new conflicts that gave Downton its fire. And that is why the new cast of Downton Abbey 3 matters so much. They're not just filling screen time. They're going to set the tone for this chapter, pushing the Crawleys into the future whether they like it or not. Their arrival is a signal. This isn't just the same old story. The stakes are higher, the challenge is sharper, and the world outside those Abbey walls is changing faster than ever. So, who are they? And what kind of storm will they bring? Hey, bring harmony or chaos? The world of Downton has always been built on tradition. Titles, land, family names. These are the pillars that have kept the Crawleys standing tall for generations. But what happens when someone new, someone younger, steps into their world and begins to question everything those pillars stand for? That is where our first new cast member comes in. A young aristocrat with ties to the crown itself. On the surface, their presence is a gift. To have a royal connection inside the Crawley circle means prestige, influence, and perhaps even security for the family at a time when the old aristocracy is slowly losing its grip. But beneath that polished exterior lies something far more dangerous. This isn't just a polite visitor who will bow to tradition. This is a figure raised in the shadow of the modern monarchy. Someone who has seen firsthand how power is shifting, how old lords and ladies are no longer unquestioned rulers of society. For Lord Grantham, this character could feel like both an ally and a threat. Their opinions carry weight. Their advice cannot be ignored. But their ideas might cut too deep into the heart of Downton's way of life. Imagine heated dinners where this newcomer challenges the Crawleys on matters of inheritance, duty, and relevance. Imagine Lady Mary, sharp as ever, weighing whether this new connection could protect her family's legacy, or quietly dismantle it, piece by piece. And for the staff below stairs, the ripple effects will be just as powerful. A royal connection doesn't just impress, it intimidates. Servants who once felt secure in their roles might suddenly find themselves judged against stricter standards. The presence of royalty raises expectations, and when expectations rise, mistakes become unforgivable. This aristocrat doesn't come to blend in. They come to shake the balance of power, and in doing so, they will force everyone inside Downton, both upstairs and down, to ask a haunting question. If the world is changing so quickly, what good is clinging to the past? The music changes first. You hear it before you see her. The soft, careful tones of Downton's past are replaced by something faster, louder, daring. The sound of jazz drifting through the halls feels almost scandalous, as though the Abbey itself is protesting. But this is exactly what our new socialite brings. Rhythm, rebellion, and a reminder that the world outside those stone walls has already moved on. She is not like the Crawleys. She doesn't lower her voice in drawing rooms or wait to be invited to speak. She belongs to the new generation, the glittering age of nightclubs, automobiles, and daring fashion. Where the Crawleys see duty, she sees freedom. Where they cling to rules, she laughs at them. And in that laugh lies both her charm and her danger. For Lady Mary, this arrival is like a mirror she may not want to look into. Mary has always tried to hold Downton steady, to keep its traditions intact while quietly adapting them for survival. But here comes someone younger, bolder, unashamed to live without the weight of the past. It's a reminder that even Mary, the sharp and modern-minded daughter, might be seen as old-fashioned in a changing world. The men of Downton will not be immune either. A socialite like this knows how to draw attention, how to stir whispers and rivalries without even trying. A single dance, a single laugh shared in the wrong direction could set hearts racing and reputations trembling. And for the staff, her presence could feel both dazzling and impossible, an untouchable world of glamour that highlights just how far away their lives are from hers. But beneath the sequins and sparkle lies something deeper. This socialite is not just a party guest. She carries with her new ideas about independence, about women defining themselves outside of titles and marriages. Her presence forces questions that Downton has avoided for too long. What is the role of women in this new age? And if the old ways are crumbling, who will dare to break free first? Her arrival is not just noise and glitter. It's the echo of the future, walking right into Downton's grand halls. And once she has arrived, silence will never feel the same again. It begins not with music, not with laughter, but with words. Speeches echoing in London halls, newspapers filled with headlines about unrest, and whispers reaching even the quiet corners of the countryside. Britain in the 1930s is no longer a land where tradition rules without question. It is a country on the edge, caught between old power and new voices demanding change. And it is in this climate that our next new figure enters Downton Abbey, a politician. This character does not glide into the story with charm or glitter. They arrive like a gust of cold air, serious, persuasive, unafraid to make people uncomfortable. Where the Crawleys host dinners to preserve dignity, this figure turns the table into a battleground. Conversations once filled with polite small talk now bristle with debate about workers' rights, about class divides, about the very survival of the aristocracy in a new century. For Lord Grantham, such presence is deeply unsettling. He has always believed that Downton's duty was to endure, to protect tradition even as the world moved forward. But this politician speaks of reform, of redistribution, of change that cannot be slowed. Every word feels like a challenge not just to his position, but to the very identity of Downton itself. Lady Edith, however, may see something else. As a woman who has built her own life outside the Abbey, she understands the pull of progress. To her, this figure might represent opportunity, a voice that reflects her own fight for independence, for relevance beyond titles. And for the staff, their arrival sparks unease, because their world is the one being discussed across those long oak tables. Their wages, their security, their futures are no longer invisible. This politician does not bring harmony. They bring questions that cut too deep to ignore. Should the Crawleys cling to a fading past or align themselves with the tide of progress? The answers are not simple, and the Abbey itself becomes a stage where history's battles are rehearsed in whispers and arguments. Every word spoken by this new figure carries the weight of a world shifting outside Downton's gates. And once those words are heard, there can be no return to silence. The story of Downton Abbey has never truly belonged only to the Crawleys or their staff. It has always belonged to the people watching, to the millions who held their breath as Sybil defied her family, who wept when Matthew's fate was sealed, who cheered when Lady Mary finally found her place in a world trying to leave her behind. And now, with the third film on the horizon, it is the fans who are asking the questions no one inside Downton dares to say aloud. What will these new faces mean? Some viewers are thrilled, seeing the young aristocrat as a chance to bring fresh conflict, to keep the story alive with the tension of power and tradition clashing once again. Others are drawn to the modern socialite, imagining the glamour of the jazz age exploding through Downton's halls, bringing a new energy the series has never dared to embrace so boldly. And then there are those whispering about the politician, already bracing themselves for arguments that could rip open the family's deepest fears. But not every voice is filled with excitement. Some fans are cautious, even worried. Will these new cast members overshadow the beloved characters we've grown with for over a decade? Will Downton lose its soul in the chase for modern stories? Or will these new arrivals remind us that the Abbey itself has always been a place where past and future collide? The speculation is endless. Romances, scandals, betrayals, alliances. Every possibility is alive in the imaginations of fans. And that is the beauty of Downton. It is not a story frozen in time. It is a living, breathing world where one unexpected character can turn everything upside down. So as the curtain prepares to rise on Downton Abbey 3, one truth has become clear. The fans are not just watching history unfold. They are part of it. Every theory, every hope, every fear, they fuel the story just as much as the Crawleys themselves. And when those new cast members finally step onto the grand stage, it won't just change Downton. It will change the way we see it, forever. The halls of Downton have seen wars, weddings, births, and farewells. They have echoed with laughter, with secrets, and with the heavy silence of loss. But never before has the Abbey stood on the edge of such a storm. With every new arrival, every unfamiliar face stepping across the threshold, the balance of this world begins to tilt. These new characters are not guests passing through. They are catalysts. The young aristocrat, with royal ties sharp enough to cut through tradition. The dazzling socialite, shimmering with freedom that unsettles even Lady Mary. The politician, carrying the weight of a country in turmoil. Together they do not simply add to the story, they rewrite it. Piece by piece, they strip away the certainty that once defined the Crawleys' lives, and the family knows it. You can almost see it in the eyes of Lord Grantham, a man torn between protecting what has always been and fearing what he cannot stop. You can feel it in Lady Edith's quiet resolve, her hunger for a future beyond the walls of her birthright. You can hear it in the whispers downstairs, where the staff wonder if even their loyalty can shield them from the changes rushing toward them. For over a decade, Downton Abbey has shown us that history is not something that happens far away. It happens in rooms just like these, in families just like this, when the world refuses to stand still. And now, in this third film, that truth returns with full force. The Abbey is no longer only a symbol of the past. It has become the battlefield where the past and the future finally meet face to face. So the question is no longer if Downton will change. The question is how. Will these newcomers breathe life into the family's survival? Or will they light the fire that consumes it? As the story of Downton Abbey 3 prepares to unfold, one truth remains. The Abbey endures. But endurance does not mean peace. And when the curtain rises on this next chapter, nothing, upstairs or downstairs, will the story of Downton Abbey has always been written by the clash between tradition and change. But as we look toward this third film, one truth shines brighter than ever. The future of Downton does not belong to the Crawleys alone. It belongs to us, the ones who watch, who imagine, who breathe life into every moment beyond the screen. Because in the end, every new character is a mirror. The young aristocrat forces us to ask whether tradition should be preserved at all costs. The glittering socialite makes us wonder if freedom is worth the chaos it brings. The politician reminds us that history is not polite. It is sharp, it is loud, and it spares no one. Each figure carries a piece of the world outside those Abbey walls. And once they step in, they bring us with them. But here is where you come in. The story has not yet been told. The scenes have not yet been played, and the future of Downton is still unwritten. How will these new cast members change everything? Will they divide the Crawleys or unite them against a common threat? Will they protect the Abbey's legacy or burn it to ashes in the name of progress? Your voice matters. Share your theories. Tell us which character excites you most, which one you fear will break the balance, and which you hope will carry the Abbey into a new age. Every comment, every discussion, every whispered prediction is part of this story. Because Downton Abbey has always been more than a show, it is a world that lives in the hearts of its fans. So before the grand doors of Downton open once more, take a moment. Look back at the history, the love, the heartbreak, and then look forward, toward the storm that is coming. Because when Downton Abbey 3 finally arrives, it won't just be another chapter. It will be the turning point. And once the story changes, there will be no going back. The music swells. The screen fades to black. Final words appear on screen.